This is Screen Junkies Movie Fights, brought to you by Loot Crate. Now your host, Andy Signore.
Greetings, Screen Junkies, and welcome to Movie Fights. I'm so excited for this amazing panel. We have some awesome people here and some awesome fights, including what's the best moment in the Deadpool trailer, what would be the best Harry Potter spinoff, and what franchise should die. So much more. If you don't like a fight, don't forget, don't leave. Just click bottom right-hand corner, pick your fight, and you can see any fight you want. Also, we're on iTunes. Don't forget to check out our RSS feed and subscribe and comment and rate. If you haven't done it before, please go do it now and go listen to us. You can listen to us in the car and other places and when you work out. It's fun stuff. Now, I want to introduce our fighters here. We have some amazing people, and one I want to introduce especially because we go way back. But first up, actually, let's play the intro. Why don't we do that?
Today's fighters are Tiffany Smith, Fandango correspondent and DC All Access co-host. Second appearance, Brett Weiner, co-creator of Honest Trailers. First-time fighter, Spencer Gilbert,
I need a headshot.
writer of Honest Trailers. 4 wins.
All right.
Dang, just dropping the hammer with the
Spencer,
4
welcome
wins.
back, Spencer
Yeah.
Gilbert.
Woo, good to be back.
You excited to be here?
Super excited to be here. Can't wait.
Behind you, also, I need to point out, since we're seeing it for the first time, who made that for me? Can you look it up, Dan? I forget.
The craziest
I'm
thing.
so sorry, I forgot his name. It's the best fan art we've ever gotten. He printed out a Night Falls movie poster. You can see it on our Twitter. It's so good. It's there. It might be there forever, to be perfectly honest. But thank you. Tell me who sent it when you can, Dan. And I will properly thank you. But you'll see it behind Spencer and Tiffany a lot today. Next to Spencer, you love her from Fandango and DC All Access. It's Tiffany Smith.
Hey guys, I'm really excited to be back. I feel like the last time I was on, not gonna lie, kind of got robbed on some of mine. Andy.
Are you out for blood today?
Andy, I'm out for blood.
All right.
I want to win.
I'm taking it seriously. Everyone here has a shot, always the same equal shot. So bring it, and you're going to get it. Next to her, I'm so happy to bring this gentleman on the show. Everybody, you might not be like, who's this guy? But this is Brett Weiner. If you're a true fan of Screen Junkies and Honest Trailers, you would see his name because he created Honest Trailers with me, Screen Junkies Show.
We go way
We are
back.
the OGs of this channel. Just you and me building this thing together, right?
Sitting alone in a room, arguing over movies. It was like a movie fight every day with you.
It was so amazing, but very instrumental in the early phases.
And I think this is my first time on Screen
channel?
Junkies in front of the camera.
Well, you left me like a few in to go do bigger and better things.
Well, now I'm back.
And now you're back.
Now I'm back to hang out, so I'm super excited
Just
about
means
it.
when he looks
Welcome
into the
anytime,
camera,
but
he
respect
can
this guy. We love him. I'm so happy to have him, and I'm so happy because Spencer ended up taking over Honest Trailers with me and took it to where it's been and has been doing. So this is gonna be an interesting fight.
It's new school
OG
versus old
versus
school.
new
Versus old. I love
What's
it.
up?
Let's see.
I don't know who I'm supposed to let win. No, it's Tiffany. That's my safe bet.
When writers
All right.
get in front of the camera, everyone loses.
Yes.
All right, before we start, there's a couple things I want you guys all at home to mark your calendars. There are 2 incredibly important dates I want you to realize. First up, we are making our Midwest debut in Chicago. That's right, in 2 weeks, August 21st, Friday, and August 22nd, Saturday. Movie Fights is coming to Wizard World Comic-Con in Chicago. We are so excited. I think we have a graphic we can pop up in a link. Or check out wizard.me/junkies. We are going to be live at Movie Fights. We have brought in an awesome panel of nostalgia critics coming. Chris Stuckman, for his first time ever on Movie Fights, John Flickinger, a.k.a. The Flick Pick. It's going to be awesome. Come check us out. We need your support. We want to blow it up. We want to blow up Wizard World. So go get your tickets. Check it out. Come see us. Friday night Movie Fights. Saturday, we're doing an Honest Trailer panel, hopefully with special guests.
Wyizard world.
What? WIZD.me/junkies. So please come support us if you're in Chicago or near Chicago. We want to see your love. We haven't been to your neck of the woods. This is your first time to meet us and see us and do what we're doing, so come support us. Now, we may not be able to stream that one live. We don't know yet, so don't keep asking us. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the Wizard World. The only way you'll definitely be able to see it is if you come. But we do want to do something live. Dan has a special message. Hey, Dan, how's it doing over there?
I'm doing good.
You know, I get a lot of comments in the comments that say, why aren't you putting the belt on the line?
Yeah, I know. A lot of people said, like, hey, Mike Carlson beat you, Amy Nicholson beat you. A real champ would put his belt on the line against
true.
the 2 people that have beaten you.
I got to say, I agree with them, Dan.
You know, I got to say, I agree with them too, which is why next Sunday, live on Screen Junkies,
What?
against Mike Carlson and Amy Nicholson.
Whoa, you're putting it
Title belt.
The belt is on the line.
Oh,
Title
yeah.
fight live right
Wait,
here
you
next
mean
Sunday.
Sunday? Wait, when we
Sunday
normally post these pre-taped episodes, you mean Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time? We're going to be live?
We might be getting a Civil War trailer the day before. Who knows? We'll find out next Sunday.
Oh my gosh, that's right,
It's exciting.
guys. Dan's
Big
true.
day.
D23 has so much news. We thought, you know what? Don't get used to this because it's Sunday and we don't like to come in on Sundays.
Hell no.
But this Sunday only, next Sunday, we are going to be live on YouTube at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Dan's putting the belt on the line. You guys can comment while we're doing it. I don't know what's going to happen, but come back because it's going to be epic. So mark your calendars. So next Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, you're going to want to be up and watching us live. And then the following weekend, you're going to want to come to Chicago and see us there. So much happening in the world of Screen Junkies. How exciting are you guys?
I am so excited.
It's
I
just
wanna
blowing
see,
up.
I want to see what Murrell does.
I
I want to
just
see
like
if he turns
how
into the Ronda
Dan
Rousey of Screen Junkies.
I like that he was holding the belt like a bra.
All right, a lot of housekeeping there that we had to go through.
Very
But this is
sexy.
important. I want to make sure everyone knew those exciting things. Rules. You guys know how the show works, right? Brett, you've watched. You
Yes,
know?
I've watched.
Based on your arguments. Even though some people don't think that's true, it's always based on the arguments. I'm keeping points and interview little reasons. So make sure you're fighting your reason why yours is the best, but why theirs is not. Any questions?
Hell no.
Good to go.
All right,
Got this.
let's do this.
Now let's do this.
This is where we fight!
Fight.
Now, before we start, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Loot Crate. Loot Crate, we love Loot Crate, and Dan has some items from this month's Loot Crate. As if you don't already know, what you should, because come on, Loot Crate's the best. They're a monthly service that sends epic, geek, and gamer pop culture items to your door for less than $20 a month, including one-of-a-kind items you won't find anywhere else. They're a big supporter of all people on YouTube, especially us. So they're one of our oldest sponsors, Dan. Isn't that true?
I think they were our first sponsor.
Our oldest. So July was Heroes Crate, including several awesome items, which Dan's modeling for us, including exclusive Batman variant Q-Pop, which is right there.
want that.
A Batman multi-tool, which I thought was really awesome. It has
Does
a
it have a
screwdriver,
bottle opener? I'll
bottle
take that.
opener.
It's got everything.
2 screwdrivers.
Also
there was
batarang.
also a Legend of Zelda wristband, and so much more. So much cool stuff. That awesome book. Anyway, they send some amazing stuff, and if you sign up by August 19th, you'll be eligible for the Villains Crate, featuring epic items from Marvel and an exclusive DC figure, a unique wearable that's never been in a crate before. What? Say what? So be sure to check it out. Always, if you want to support us and them, go to lootcrate.com/moviefights and use the code MovieFights to save 10% on a new subscription. Thank you, Loot Crate. All right. We love you. We love them. Go get some cool stuff. Round 1. This week, I'm wearing the shirt because of it, was the red band for Ryan Reynolds' upcoming movie, Deadpool. Debated it on our show, and Screen Junkie Show, and we got a lot of heat on it, which I don't understand why. We're being honest and talking.
Well, we didn't
Yeah, say that nicely.
fillet it.
Sorry for being cautiously optimistic.
We did not fillet the Deadpool trailer. We said good and bad, and people didn't react to that so kindly. Whatever. That's fine.
I mean, it's early. We're not being mean. We're not being super ecstatic. We got to see more. But I think we all said we liked it. We're excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be
Bottom
awesome.
line. So that wasn't a good fight. So instead of that, we thought this is crazy one on Twitter asked us what was the best moment in the trailer. We're gonna start with you, Spencer. What part of the Deadpool trailer? And I guess we're specifically on the red band. That's the funner one. Which one did you like? Which part did you like the best?
Don't make it green or animated. That line right there gave me everything I wanted out of a Deadpool scene, trailer, movie, whatever. You want it to be funny. You want it to be meta. You want to admit that Deadpool has sucked in all of his previous incarnations and admit that Green Lantern sucked in all of Ryan Reynolds' previous incarnations. So that is everything you want in a nutshell from Deadpool. That's the moment that made me say, okay, I know we're in good hands here. They're going to make Deadpool right.
Interesting. Tiffany, what was your pick?
So my moment is when he's behind the truck and he puts his hands up and says, "Wait!" And then he's like, "You want to know why my suit is red? It's so the bad guys can't see me bleed." And then he proceeds to say, "That guy's in brown pants. He's got the right idea because he's going to crap his pants." So I think in one small moment in the trailer, you see, one, that the costume is super important to everyone making this film. And Ryan talked about that. He said, we kept going back and kept going back, wanted to make it look exactly like it did in the comic books. 2, you see that there is the fourth wall that's going to be broken because he's talking to the bad guys and he's talking to the fans as they're watching, which we all want to see in Deadpool. And last, you see that he is going to wreck some shit because he's like, you got to have your brown pants on because you're going to crap the bed. So I think in that one moment, you got everything that you want to see in the Deadpool movie in one tiny moment.
Great point. Brett, what are you picking?
The best part of the Deadpool trailer by far is the Colossus cameo that happens in it. And here's why. This ties Deadpool into the larger X-Men universe. This takes two characters, Deadpool and Colossus, who haven't been done well yet or as good as they should have been, puts them together. And it's really the moment in the trailer where you say to yourself, oh man, this is going to be something greater. This movie is going to be excellent because it's going to do justice to more than just Deadpool. And that sort of like gave me a hint into the story that got me really, really excited for it.
What do you guys think? Why was one greater
I'm
than
gonna
the
say,
others?
I'll go right on the Colossus one. We've seen Colossus in the movies. It's not the same actor that's in the X-Men movies already, so it doesn't tie the worlds together for me. It immediately says, we're going to try and throw this in and let fans think that maybe X-Men and then we're going to cross over, but we're not promising anything yet. So that to me was kind of like because I don't actually know where it's going to go. And then the Green Lantern line, I get it. Obviously it was funny, but it felt like it was so on the nose to me where it's like, yeah, we all know that the Green Lantern was bad, but you don't have to crap on the hand that feeds you because if he never did those movies, I don't know that anybody would even have been able to see Ryan Reynolds as a superhero character.
I mean, you know what's on the nose is the joke that I've heard in like 6th grade about, are you wearing your brown pants? Like that is an old
That's like
played
straight
out
out of the
joke.
comics, though.
It's straight out of like a Archie comic. Like this is an
Deadpool.
old stale joke that they reused. That was my least favorite line of the trailer where I rolled my eyes and went, I don't know. Hopefully they get the rest of the jokes right. We're both talking. I think we made the exact same points about how important it is to get the costume right. Mine did it in a smarter, more meta, fourth wall breaking way. And Colossus, like you're throwing in, the best part of the trailer is like a nod to another franchise. Like let's let Deadpool have cool moments and have his own movie
You just
first.
said the same thing you said bringing in another franchise. You picked a moment that brought in another franchise.
It's a reference. It's not an actual man showing up from the X-Men. And Negasonic Teenage Warhead is the cool cameo in there, which is that little girl next to him, not Colossus.
Megasonic Teenage Warhead is like such a lesser character in Colossus. By the way, here's the problem with both your guys' argument, because I feel like you're saying the same thing. You're saying, yeah, there's a couple funny moments in the trailer. This is like, what you guys are saying is the baseline for the Deadpool trailer being good, and I expected it to have those things in it. It needs to be fourth wall breaking. He needs to be funny, right? That's like the quota you have to meet. What I'm saying is the awesome part that gets me excited is something better, is something more, is something I didn't expect in the trailer. And I expected all the stuff you guys said. The low-hanging fruit thing the joke about the costume is such low-hanging fruit. I would be mad if they didn't reference that he played Green Lantern again. And then for your moment, yours isn't even the best joke in the trailer. The best joke is when they're going back and forth about what his face looks like, and then the reason why they put that joke in the middle of the trailer rather than the end, like the jokes I'm talking about, is because that's not the funniest part.
But I don't think my argument was not that it's the funniest moment of the movie. I think it said the most about the character and this movie in one tiny moment. Yes, we want it to be fourth wall breaking. Yes, we want him to be violent. Yes, we want him to be funny. We didn't know that was exactly what this movie was going to be. Obviously, because we've heard so much about the trailers and people saw it at Comic-Con, there was, a hope and people said that was what it was. But if we hadn't heard any of that stuff and you saw this trailer, that moment for me brings everything together in 1 second.
Yeah, you're saying that based on, I assume, someone who saw the leaked footage. I'm from the headspace of this is the first time I've ever seen Deadpool done right on the big screen. This is a huge thing that they got it right. This is so much better than Wolverine Origins and so much better than Ryan Reynolds' past work that to admit that is refreshing. And that's what you want to hear right off the bat. And then Colossus, like a fight, Deadpool can't be killed. Like, he can regenerate from a thumb. There's no stakes and there's no drama from him getting punched by somebody.
Here's the thing about the Colossus fight, and here's the thing I'll say. This comes as a Deadpool fan who's expecting Deadpool to be as good as he is in the comics. That's where I'm coming from. And then the Colossus fight, that's the whole fun of Deadpool. Deadpool's killing a bunch of random dudes. Who cares? But you put Colossus in there, he can't be killed, basically, by Deadpool. He's too strong. Deadpool can't be killed by Colossus, and it's just going to be fun.
But you've got to have those guys that kind of get demolished along the way. Otherwise,
sure, but they're not the best part of the trailer.
Dude, I'm like, this isn't even the moment that I'm arguing, but the moment at the end when he shoots through everybody's heads, holy mother, like, I want to see more of that. I don't mind about the fight with Colossus. I mean, if they can make it look epic, which I'm sure they will, but I also feel like that cameo that we saw didn't show that we're going to see a lot of this character in the movie.
Yeah, they spoiled a cameo. Your best moment is a spoiled cameo.
They spoiled a cameo. That's insane. I'm talking about the thing that ties him into the X-Men universe, right? He
breaks the X-Men universe.
But
you kind of don't
in the
want him
best
there.
way, in the best way, in the best possible way.
You want him as like a narrator. If he's in there, he's like unkillable. He's another Wolverine, but like even more powerful. I don't want him there yet.
And
I
I
like
think
that you're arguing against like what the Marvel universe does so well. You're saying like don't connect everything. That's insane to me.
Let them build themselves up, then connect them.
I don't want stuff connected until I know that I'm confident in this character in this movie that Marvel's doing with Deadpool. What I don't like is, yes, we've heard, Bryan Singer come out and say that maybe there'll be crossover with these characters. But it's not a character that's in his movie. So now that kind of puts all of that argument on the kibosh, because you're like, well, you've got a different actor in there. Like, we already saw that you don't put two different actors in things because it makes everybody confused. We saw it with Quicksilver. I don't want to see it again with Colossus.
I think it's a good thing they chose a new actor. He's bigger, he looks stronger, and the look is way better than Days of Future Past. He's matte, he's not chrome. He looks huge and awesome like he did in the comics. I feel like this movie's getting everything right.
Last thoughts from you two?
Yours is a poop joke. And yours isn't Deadpool.
But guess what? As soon as you said a poop joke, I laughed. I'm sorry. Poop makes me laugh.
All right. To each their own.
Poop emojis, guys.
All right. Wow, that was a good first round. I got to be honest. And Dan, any cleanup you'd like to add before I go through notes here? Because this is tough.
Three quick pieces of cleanup. Looping back real quick, Brad Smoley is the guy who did that poster, Nightfalls. So thank you, Brad. Sorry,
Yes.
Daniel.
Thank you, Brad. That was fantastic, Brad.
Daniel Cudmore, who's the actor who played Colossus and all the other X-Men movies, says he was offered the role of Colossus in Deadpool, but declined because it was all CGI and a different voice, so he passed. And Deadpool actually did die earlier this year in the comics when the Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Universe collided, which makes him the latest Fox Marvel character who has been written out of the comic book continuity. So, little Marvel Fox shade thrown there.
All right. Based on the arguments, I don't actually agree with my choice. Just I want to make that clear. I don't agree with my choice, but that's not what this show's about, right? It's about on the arguments. And I think someone sold me on the words alone, which was, it was unexpected. And I think that's what you said. The other two moments were more expected. And when I don't agree with it, but I think you went really hard on how big it is to help him be in the universe and how much more can happen and all those things that debut did.
No.
So based on just the argument, I think he sold me on something I don't even agree with him on. So you were close, both of you, and then you sort of knocked. But yours is it's one quick joke, and yours is a poop joke. And then yours is also a very long scene. You picked a lot, so I was confused where yours started and ended. So Brett gets the point.
All
Number
right.
one.
I'm also very excited
I
for the
don't
movie.
agree with it.
I like the moments that you guys chose too.
I'm excited for the movie.
That was very nice. That was very nice.
All right, round two. There it is. Deadpool character is getting a second chance with his own solo movie after the atrocious Wolverine Origins and his awful appearance in that. So Kevin Mullison, I saw this. He asked this on Twitter, and I picked it out because I was like, that's a good question. Which character from a bad movie deserves a second chance? So if we could take a character that was in a movie like Deadpool was in Origins and give him or her the right way, who would we pick? And we'll start with you, Tiffany.
Darth freaking Maul, guys. I mean, first, let's just all admit that movie is not great. The prequels, everyone
I think
agrees.
we can all agree on
Exactly.
that. Okay.
Bold
But when
stance.
that trailer first, I know, it was a big statement to start with. But when that trailer first came out and you saw this demonic character with a dual-bladed lightsaber, it was red, it was epic, he's terrifying. You're like, who is this guy? What are we going to see from this character? And we don't get a ton. And he goes away way too quickly and way too soon. And the connection with one of the biggest characters that I think people love is Obi-Wan. And you're like, I want to see more of the interaction between the two of them. And what they did in Clone Wars so well is they made a character with Darth Maul, that people connected to so much. You wanted to see more. You didn't care that he had spider mechanical legs because that worked, and you got to see more into the psyche of this character. So now that there's rumors that we're possibly going to get an Obi-Wan spin-off anthology films, how awesome would it be if we saw Obi-Wan and Darth Maul on Tatooine and kind of the interactions between them? We got even more into that fight that they have. I would absolutely love it. And Ray Park has actually said, I will get totally cut up. I will get ready for this. I will wear the mechanical legs on set, which I'm like, that I'm on board for. So I don't think there's anybody who has heard of Star Wars that would not be on board to see more of Darth Maul.
Very fun choice. Brett, what are you picking?
So I chose a character of cultural relevance of the size of basically Mickey Mouse. I'm talking about Mario from the Super Mario Brothers movie. I think that the world has been cheated out of the perfect CGI Pixar-style Mario movie. And I just think there's a potential classic to be made, right? Like if you put like a John Lasseter or Brad Bird or a Miller and Lord on this thing, you have this rich mythology of the Mushroom Kingdom. You have the Toad sort of race. You have Koopas. You have Bowser. And it would be the start of a multi-billion-dollar franchise of Mario movies, of spin-off movies. Remember, Donkey Kong is in the same universe. Luigi is in the same universe. I'd even watch a Wario movie, you guys.
That is a bold statement.
The orchestration of that classic music, it would be amazing to put in a movie. And you know what? The movie would be worth it for just the epic kart race that would happen to escape Bowser or something. Like, that's a movie that I want to see.
Spencer.
I'm going with a little left field pick. I'm going with Ruby Rhod from The Fifth Element, who was Chris Tucker's character, who is a intergalactic talk show host. He's like the offspring of Oprah and Prince, and he's like this pansexual weirdo that's just kind of from a different universe in this movie. And Fifth Element isn't a bad movie per se. It's a bad story with bad characters, but an amazing universe. And you want to see more of the world that Luc Besson created, and he's the perfect vehicle to take you through this weird Zoolander in space, big budget sci-fi comedy that I'm imagining. And I'd like to just cut myself off right here and say, we do not want to see any more Darth Maul. We do not want to see any more prequels. I thought we learned our lesson the first time. The last time
Did you watch Clone Wars?
Never prequel.
Did you watch
No,
Clone
we're
Wars?
talking movie fights. No one wants to prequel a Darth anymore. After the last time we prequeled a Darth, it was horrible. He's cool. He's imposing. Let's please keep him that way as the one nice moment from the prequels that we can hold on to. We don't want to see any more of like, how are his relationships? What does he think about sand? Like,
He
this
freaking
is not
deserves his moment to shine on the big screen if they can make it work.
He had his
animated.
moment.
No, he didn't.
So did Darth
No, he
Vader. Darth
didn't.
Vader had his moment to shine, and we went back and look what happened. Pod racing, whoopoo! Like, that is not what we want with Darth
But Darth
Maul.
Vader had so much more camera time. You developed that story so much more. Darth Maul was like there and gone in 0.2 seconds, and you're like, that's not enough. I need to know more about this
demystify
character.
the cool, strong, silent type. They did it with Boba Fett, and now he's great. And they did it with
Boba
Darth
Fett
Vader.
has more screen time than Darth Maul.
It's still he's a guy with 2 lightsabers, and he looks awesome. I know there's more to the story, but that's not going to make him any cooler.
I'm sorry, if you can do an animated series and make a dude with mechanical spider legs look awesome and get people to connect to him, then he deserves his moment
When
to shine.
did the world
And
get
here's the
okay
thing.
with more Star Wars prequels?
Here's the thing.
When did this happen? We're cool with like legacy versions?
Since the day the
I don't
first
want to see
movie
any more
came
of this.
out. Okay.
So when the Death Star plans show up, you know how many people died? Yes, I know. I saw a movie about it. That many people died. Great.
You think
You're
that
right.
your character, okay, let's just compare it to another character in a cool world, The Hunger Games. Do I want to see a Caesar movie all about that guy? No, I don't. No, I effing don't. I
Caesar
don't want to watch.
Flickerman.
I don't want to watch an entire movie about that character. I don't think that could carry a whole movie. I'm gonna get annoyed 5 seconds in with the voice. I'm not gonna want to see it, and I don't think that it fits into that sci-fi world because it's like so over the top, on the nose, annoying
That's
humor
Luc
to me.
Besson. That's what he's good at. Is
No,
over the top.
he's so
and
good at action. He's incredible at action. I don't think that
he's
your
great at
character
visual
could carry
design
a
and
full
world
movie.
building.
I'm going to jump in and tell you why you both are wrong. You chose a middling sci-fi movie, and you took,
Middling. How dare you?
You took the fifth lead, who is the most annoying character in the movie,
Agreed.
Disagree.
and then decided to make a thing about it, and nobody cares. You have a problem here where there's a couple
I
of
feel
different.
like I'm being psychoanalyzed.
There's a couple of different problems with Darth Maul. Let's break this down. Number one, we don't know who he is. We don't know what he is. He never talks in the movie. Number two, Ray Parks, not a good actor. Seen him as Toad in X-Men, not a good actor. Number three, this becomes just another one of those Star Wars prequel movies. And here's the test, right? If you were to release on deadline tomorrow that these 3 movies are coming out, yours would get a big sigh. Yours would get a shrug because there are already people making origin movies, and mine would have people rejoicing. People would be talking. People would be like, "Who's directing it?
The
What's gonna
deadline
happen?
No.
headline
What's
is
gonna
so
do?"
irrelevant. It's going to say, "Told ya, Mario movie, hot scoop." We don't care about what
No, the
deadline
How many
fans.
says
people-
about
I don't care what deadline
Let's
it
talk
says.
about
The
Mario.
fans would
Let's
go
talk
crazy.
about
Yeah,
Mario.
let's talk
If
about
you
Mario.
were to do-
One of the
Bob
most
Hoskins
classic
was a
characters
great
of all
Mario.
time.
He was a fantastic
Oh.
Mario. He
That-
committed. He
this is
almost
what you're going
died
with?
on that movie.
Oh my God.
This is really your argument.
He was
is,
it was
are
an
you
awful
trying to
movie.
help
It
him?
was an awful
Are you?
movie, but he was like as good a Mario as you're gonna get. He had the voice down. He committed. He looked like Mario. Like, how are you gonna do better.
If Bob Hoskins was the best Mario that exists, I think I would kill myself because I wouldn't want to live in that reality.
Who is
That makes-
Mario? He's an
that-
Italian plumber.
Here's the genius thing. You have a chance to define Mario as a character because Mario is all of us, right? We've all played Mario. We've all been that character. Somebody can come in and make him the next Mickey Mouse, can make him the next big character that everybody relates
Here's
to.
the thing. You mentioned Chris Miller and Phil Lord, and they did the Lego movie, and they did such a great job with that. But that's because you could bring in all of these different worlds. I don't necessarily want to see a movie that is just Super Mario. Could Mario come into one of those other movies? Awesome. I would love to see a cameo. I don't want to see an entire Mario movie. And you talk about, oh, that kart race would be the best. I'm like, Wreck-It Ralph did a race with cool cars, animated, basically like Super Mario, but like candy cars. And I was like, that was the weakest part. I want a story. Animated movies, like I said with Toy Story when we were talking before the show, it's got to have heart. It's got to have a great story. It's got to make me laugh and cry at the same time to be a great animated, if you're going to say it's along the lines of Pixar. And I don't think you can do that with Mario. And your argument where you were like, we don't know anything about Darth Maul. Yeah, that's what helps me. I want to know more about Darth Maul. And if you talk about the movie titles coming out, you are going to get so many more hits of saying we're doing a Darth Maul anthology film than a Super Mario movie, than I don't even remember the name of your character.
Zoolander in space.
Last thoughts,
That's
Spencer?
Yeah, I just think that we've already gotten the Mario's a cipher. He's not a character. He's just a guy that goes to the right and jumps. And Darth Maul is another Star Wars prequel. And God, I don't want to see that. Fifth Element is a universe that needs to be explored more. I personally love Chris Tucker's performance. I think it's amazing. It doesn't annoy me. I want to see more.
We're not calling
Brett,
them
final
anthologies.
thoughts?
I think the question is, what character from a bad movie deserves another chance? A good movie could be made of Mario or a bad movie like the one that was made before. We're not arguing is the movie going to be good or bad. The idea is potential for that movie. And Mario, out of all these characters, has the most potential to have a beloved classic movie of this classic character.
Anything to add, Dan, before I make my ruling?
Boba Fett does have more screen time than Darth Maul. Surprised me too.
So you talked a lot about the world and the other characters, and I think they both sort of knocked it down on Mario as a character, which the question is which character from a bad movie deserves a second chance. So you were close for me, but that's what ultimately dung it out is their fights, and I think they both killed you. He's so annoying. It's totally legit.
Matter of
And I
preference.
think your closing there at the end just totally won it for me, hands down. So Tiffany gets the point.
Oh boy, another prequel.
It's not a prequel. It's an anthology
We want a Mario
film.
movie, man.
Round 3. I love that digital scoreboard. I can't believe we have one of those. Isn't that just
So
so
cool.
crazy now?
Modern technology is amazing.
We sold out.
So True Detective Season 2 star Colin Farrell. Has anyone, God, that show's getting boring.
I was
I'm
off
like
after
3 episodes
yeah.
behind.
Wait, I'm going to binge watch it tonight, and I heard that the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th episode's
good?
amazing, and the first 3 are a little hard to get through.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. Anyway,
Side note.
so he's good, and he's excited. He's enjoyed the Harry Potter spin-off movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So if you don't know, that's a textbook from the Harry Potter universe used by the characters there. So Warner Brothers is making a movie, of course, based on that textbook. So we just thought, speaking of prequels, what would be, it doesn't have to be, it could be prequel, sequel, whatever, but because that world is so rich of J.K. Rowling's, what would be a better Harry Potter spin-off than Fantastic Beasts? Based on what we know from the movies we watched, who would you want to see go on a specific journey or quest or whatever? And Brett, we're starting with you.
So my pitch is Alfonso Cuarón presents The Marauders. So this would be the story of James Potter, Remus Lupin, Sirius Black, and Peter Pettigrew, who are the 4 friends that joined Hogwarts and sort of started the whole Wizarding War. And I think you could make a whole trilogy of this. The first one, they meet, they invent the Marauders map, they start to become Animagi. Number 2, they team up with Dumbledore, found the Order of the Phoenix, fight the Death Eaters in the first Wizarding War. And number 3 ends with the tragedy of them beating Voldemort at the cost of the life of James Potter and Lily Potter, and the very end of the movie would be the birth of Harry Potter. So it would be a sequel that would really get into the dark, nitty-gritty beginning of Voldemort's rise to power.
So basically The Hobbit to Harry Potter.
Thank you.
But like a
Aaron.
good version.
You took my point right out of my
I didn't
mouth.
even mean it from a good or bad perspective, but got it. Okay, Spencer.
My story is a spin-off starring the other James Potter, which is Harry Potter's grown son, James Potter II. And I imagine this is a sequel, so we actually haven't seen this before. He's sick of growing up in his dad's shadow, so he runs off to live in the Muggle world in near-future London. He's still a powerful wizard, but he's gotten a job as like a coder at an internet startup. He's obsessed with his iPhone and his PlayStation. Because technology, if you look at where Harry Potter started in 98, technology's better than magic at this point. It's way better to send a text than an owl. So that's the world that James Potter II's living in. But then there's a terrorist attack in London. Something blows up, and there's the dark mark of Voldemort over it. That's when Hermione, 70-year-old, badass Hermione, apparates into his apartment and sends him, he's the only one they trust with the skills who knows the Muggle world, to infiltrate a magical terrorist sect that is terrorizing the Muggle world with mixing magic and technology to bring back he who shall not be named. I call it James Potter and the Sons of Chaos.
Okay.
Terror sick. Wow, okay.
When you said old Hermione, I just imagined her dropping the Heartstone into the ocean. I don't know why.
What's your pick, Tiffany?
Still hot.
So I'm just going to start with dragons, the dragonologist story. Everybody loves dragons. I mean, we've seen it in Game of Thrones. We have not seen enough of it within the Harry Potter world. We've heard about the dragonologists. We saw the Ukrainian Iron Belly in Gringotts. So the story that I would really like to tell is once that dragon has escaped, bringing it back, capturing it again, keeping it in safety. Because if you read the books, she does such a great job of developing all of the beasts and beasts and animals within the world. And you find out that to bring a dragon down, it takes about 12 or 15 witches and wizards to do that. So you've got a team of those, but you also have the dragon killers, which are in charge of disposing of dangerous animals. And they talk about in the book the fact that these dragons just cannot get into the Muggle world. So I would like to see the two teams going after this Ukrainian Iron Belly that has escaped. You have to figure out what's the best way to keep it. And in the books also, Hermione talks about when she gets off of the dragon, she's like, how is he going to survive? Are we okay? And it just brings so many moments to your mind from the movies that you've already seen. And I think that's what works so well, where it's there's small moments where you'll be like, oh, I already saw those movies. I remember this moment. So now I can kind of jump off of that. The main character, I think, would be Charlie Weasley, because he doesn't actually come to fight when Voldemort is there, because he's in charge of keeping those dragons safe. And so the whole movie is them figuring out what they can do. And I would like to say that it could be a continuation, a trilogy as well, because at the end of the first one, the dragon gets into the Muggle world. And then you have to see how they can actually get the dragon back from Muggle world. That's my story.
These all sound fun. Which one doesn't sound fun, guys?
Brett's.
Spencer's. You know what? Spencer's sounds like a old executive trying to be hip invented a Harry Potter movie. It's like, listen, he goes into the Muggle world and there's texting. Is he going to listen to club music?
No.
Oh, and then, terrorism, that's a thing. So, there's a terrorist attack.
No, he's on Tinder. He forgot about that.
Yeah, he's on Tinder. It's like somebody was like, what are kids popular with? And then, what do they like? Harry Potter and some modern things on a phone. And that's why I think, the beauty of J.K. Rowling's universe is the discovery of that magic. And every time I read a Harry Potter book or watch a movie, I love when there's a new piece of magic invented. And in my story, you can do that. You can have things that have previously existed that Harry Potter never got to. Because remember, Harry Potter didn't know he was a wizard until much later. Where all these four guys, they were some of the best wizards of their time. They were in the Order of the Phoenix with Dumbledore. And I think that's where you really get into the great stuff.
I think it's when you talk about creating other spin-offs or anthology films or prequels, it's hard when you do something that can affect how you watch the next movies, watch the movies that originally came out. So yes, though I want to see that story, I'm like, it's really hard to do something where it's like, oh, but they said this, does that affect this thing going on into the future? And so there's just a lot that has to be looked at and taken care of. And I don't know that would happen like I would want to see it with those movies, because I have this nostalgic image of those characters based off of what we heard through the Harry Potter films. And then with yours, part of what I love about Harry Potter is that it doesn't all take place within the Muggle world. And it sounds like, though I said mine would end up in the Muggle world, most of it doesn't take place in that world. And that's what makes Harry Potter so special, is that you get to explore this world that none of us actually go to, except for through the books or the movies. And so I don't really want to see the kid version of Harry Potter's kids growing up and then old Hermione. I just envision seeing old Emma, and I'm like, I don't want them to put all this makeup on her and make her look like a grandma. That sucks.
It's not going to be Emma. It's not going to be her. It's not going to be the same actress. But mine is the only one that broadens the world. You guys are just taking stuff that you're basically 3 movies full of fan service of like, oh, here's Sirius Black, here's Dumbledore, you remember these guys, and we know exactly how all of that story ends. I'm the only one that's moving it forward. Yours sounds like How to Train Your Dragon, which I love, but it's
badass.
Dragons don't add anything new to an already magical world.
Dragons have
totally
been
do.
done over
Yeah.
so many times. And do you know what the crazy thing about your pitch is? It feels like you just took one part of Fantastic Beasts. You're like taking the piece of Fantastic Beasts where they're going to talk about dragons, and you're like, I'll just make this tiny part of it that movie.
And it's the one that J.K. Rowling didn't come up with. Like, dragons have existed long before.
Yeah.
But it's a chase movie at the core of it, too, where it's like these two sides have to figure out what's the best way to get this dragon, to protect this dragon. And there's characters that we already know that we haven't gotten to see that much about that I want to know more about. So I feel like it's fleshing out more of the world that we already know. And I like
say
that.
that,
We
but-
already know the Harry Potter world. It's been done.
We don't know
have
that much about
7
dragons.
We have 7 books. We have we have that giant tome that I still haven't gotten to, and we have all the wiki, and we have all the background knowledge. Let's finally move this forward. We're all grown up. I got the first Harry Potter book when I was 12. I'm in my late 20s now. Like, we've all grown up with the series. Let's have a slightly more adult but still magical take on it.
I think the last thing I'll say is that there's the element that you guys are saying that it's like we know what's going to happen with these characters, but the thing with these stories is that the journey is so compelling. And the other thing I'll say about the danger of it is you have J.K. Rowling, who's kind of already beat out a lot of this stuff in the margins. You sort of see that she knows what's going on. And remember, those 2 words I put, Alfonso Cuarón presents, who directed the best version of a Harry Potter movie.
Last thought, Tiffany?
I just think I would like to go based off of the things that J.K. Rowling has already worked on so that I know it's part of the world. When you made the half joke about The Hobbit and, the Lord of the Rings movies, I like that Peter Jackson had a hand in all of that. I like that it's the same director. I like that obviously it's all based off of the books by the same author. So it's like with this, I would rather delve into stuff that she's already written. There was a lot of information about dragons in the books and protecting them and taking care of them and getting them into places and training them to protect a place like Gringotts that we didn't get to see in the movie. And that's what I want to see,
You
stuff
guys
that
are
she
both
already did.
talking like she's dead. She's still alive.
All right. Any clean up, Dan, before we...
My favorite creature in Fantastic Beasts is the Chizpurfle.
That's what you were
mine too.
doing over there.
That's what I was doing.
I
I was
like
just
it.
looking at crazy things.
So, I want to see all these movies, to be perfectly honest. Based on the argument, I think it was really close with a lot of it, but then I think Spencer ended up taking it
Right.
just by going forward and all. There's so much that we've already seen, and then you really got me with you picked the one creature that she didn't even make, which to me is that's a good point of like she's created all this new stuff. Do we really want to focus on a thing that we've seen? So and that put you over the edge for me. Spencer gets the point.
All right.
Can never see enough dragons.
Might I suggest
Dragonheart.
the Chizpurfle?
I am the
Round 4.
For the next fight.
All right. Fantastic Four comes out this weekend and has been getting pretty bad reviews this weekend. Has anyone gotten to see it yet?
No.
No.
I have seen it.
And would you like to comment?
All right.
Let's have a movie fight.
Let's have a movie fight. Evan G, we didn't get to all see it. That's why we're not fighting about it. And it sounds like it's pretty universally not people. I mean, on Twitter, the early reactions I'm getting, they are not
want
being
it to be
kind.
good, yeah.
9%.
Not being kind.
Currently, 9%.
I dig that it's based off of Ultimate Fantastic Four and it's like more sci-fi and horror.
I hear the cast is good. I like the
Cast is good no matter what. I still believe in Josh Trank. Hope he bounces back.
Well, he did tweet
tweet, yeah.
recently.
There's a good
I'm
version that
sorry.
doesn't.
He
that you'll
literally
never
tweeted,
see.
"There's a version you'll never see," and I'm
Just stop tweeting.
It's like
You should just stop tweeting.
Oh, come on, don't just. Sorry, but he deleted it. But he's clearly
Oh, then it's fine.
clearly trying to
Never happened.
skirt the blame elsewhere.
Variety
which, who
got
knows
it.
where
Variety
it comes
got
from.
it.
Anyway, Evan G on Twitter asked, "What movie did critics get wrong?" So to be clear, this could be a movie critics said was bad that turned out to be good, or a movie they said was good that turned out to be bad. And we're going to start with you, Spencer. Who do you pick for your favorite movie movie that critics got wrong?
I have a few pull quotes that I want to read. This is a movie that Richard Roper said was nothing but entertainment value. This is something that Time said was smart, robust, familiar entertainment. LA called it one of the better ones. Everyone involved can breathe a sigh of relief. A rollicking class reunion, a delight from beginning to end.
Yes.
I'm speaking, of course, about Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Those people need to be fired.
They should all hang their heads in shame because this was it's 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is a movie that deserves negative 78% out of 100. This is an awful movie from the opening shot when they turn the mountain literally into a molehill, to the Shia LaBeouf's face, to Harrison Ford Mr. Magooing his way around everything, to the stupid alien crystal prop that they used. It's irredeemable. I don't know what they were smoking or what movie they saw. There's nothing good about this. This is a pile of crap, and they talked people into watching it. They got it wrong.
Tiffany, follow that one up.
Yeah. Shia LaBeouf jumping on monkeys. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to go with a movie that was panned by the critics, but now is a classic film. Here were some of the things that critics said about it. Plainly a gimmick movie, even a blot on an honorable career, and that was from the New York Times. Not an abundance of subtlety, and was obviously low budget. That was about Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho. He even talked about the fact that before the movie came out, he didn't want critics to see it because of how difficult it was to get this movie made, because people were like, you can't do those scenes that way. You can't show a woman in the shower. You can't show a death scene that way. And this movie has now become one of the most iconic, changed the way that people do horror films, and a fan favorite. And so it's like, when the critics did finally get to see it with the fans who were overjoyed and loved it and kept going to see it, the critics were saying things like that. And you're like, are you kidding me? Fans are enjoying this, and he is changing the game for horror films. And I think that's a movie where critics should say, this is something totally different. He's brought in a new way of doing it. I don't understand how anyone could say that that movie is low budget. That one shower scene alone, all of those quick edits, all those quick cuts was incredible.
Got to replace the shower curtain every time.
It's true. Super expensive.
Brett, what's your movie that critics got wrong?
So the movie that I chose is Wet Hot American Summer, the comedy classic, which is, I think, low 30s in tomato meter, which, to put it in comparison, is about what, like, Entourage is at. Roger Ebert called it cinematic torture. But here's the interesting thing about this movie. It's really, really funny. It's so funny, in fact, that it got, like, almost no release. But then over time, over a decade, basically, people started watching it, and people started loving it, and people started sharing it, and really connected. And not only that, I really feel like it kicked off a whole subculture of absurdist comedy, which has grown into today's sort of like Adult Swim and Tim and Eric and those styles of shows, and continues to grow. I mean, it's a hugely influential movie in the comedy community. It had an amazing cast. Bradley Cooper's first film, Amy Poehler, Paul Rudd, not to mention David Wayne, who also directed Role Models, which is an excellent film. And now there's the Netflix series, and it's come back to the mainstream, and everybody loves the Netflix series, which now has the same type of humor that the original had. So the critics got it completely wrong. It's a movie ahead of its time, and it's really like a cult comedy classic.
What I would say about Wet Hot American Summer is the fact that comedy is so subjective. And so when you get critics saying things about it being good or bad, or feeling like it's, too vulgar, too this, too that, that's what comedy is. You're going to get people on both sides of the fence always for comedy films. And so I'm sure, as though there were critics that said it was really terrible, I'm sure there were critics that also loved it, which is why we're getting more of it now. So I think that one's a hard one to do, because anytime it's comedy, the critics are going to be on the fence.
I think it's hard to do Psycho because there's a weird thing that happens. Because if you look up Psycho on Tomato Meter now, it's 96%. Mm-hmm. So there was initially a couple of critics who said, like, we don't like it, or they didn't understand it because of the context of the time. But it's not like, I feel like your critics were closer and now have come closer, where Wet Hot American Summer, they've seen this new thing and they're just starting to come around. And if you still look at Wet Hot American Summer, it's still in those low 30s. Like, there's still all those people.
But how does it have a new, if it's still getting bad reviews, they wouldn't have done a new series that's getting good reviews.
The new series is getting good reviews because people, now the mainstream has moved over to it because it was a movie ahead of its time. But what I'm saying is, what movie did the critics get wrong? They were so far off on Wet Hot American Summer, where Psycho was immediately a popular movie.
I mean,
Spencer?
Well, I'm just sitting here waiting for one of you to defend Indiana Jones.
Here's what I'll say. I can do this. I can do this.
I have stuff to say about your guys' movies, but please,
Yeah.
go
So
on.
what I'll say is this. So what Crystal Skull has going for it is the character of Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford.
He's technically in the movie, yes.
He's technically in the
He is.
movie. And you know what? I just love seeing Indiana Jones. He is a beloved.
That Indiana Jones?
Perfect. When he
You're
picks
watching him being executed on film.
No, when he picks up the hat, That's great. When he blows the blow dart into the guy's mouth, that's great. There are a couple moments in that thing that legitimately are, as your things say, entertaining. And that's the metric we got to hit. Are they off about it being entertaining at moments? The answer is no.
I also
There are
feel
moments
like
there.
with that movie, it's like when the Star Wars prequels came out and critics were drinking the Kool-Aid. They wanted to see another Indiana Jones movie. You're so pumped about the character and the world that they develop. And so you go in and you're like, that was awesome. And then you watch it again and you're like, oh,
They got it wrong. It's their job to know better.
But they didn't because they didn't get it wrong in that moment when they first saw it, how excited they were about it. Because when I went and saw the Crystal Skull, after I saw it, I probably would have said awesome things about it because that's how I felt in the moment. But then sitting thinking about it, I'm like, well, yeah, that's how I felt when I watched it. But now when I think about it, I feel differently. So I don't say that it's the critics got it wrong because they were giving an honest opinion of being excited about seeing another Indiana Jones
I don't
movie.
think there's a redeemable frame of that movie. But
That was the best I could do.
But going on, moving on to Psycho, I kind of understand the critics' reaction being more in tune with, like, it violated the social norms of the time. Like, they had you can't show a woman in the shower, an unmarried woman, and like, what, it's so
But that's not what the
disgusting.
critics were saying. That was while they were trying to get it made. He had a lot of like pushback because of that. The response after they saw it was, "This is a low-budget movie. Clearly, it's an ink." Like,
By the way,
a
really
blot-
wrong about
a
it being
blot
low
on
budget.
Alfred
It is a
Hitchcock's
low-budget
career.
movie,
Like,
right?
I
can
mean-
you say? But would you say it's a blot on Alfred Hitchcock's career? Like,
No, but it was
is a
very
highlight.
it was different from anything he had done beforehand. So I get it, sort of. Obviously, they got it wrong. Everyone got all of these movies wrong. But I get it because it was so different from expectations of what came before. It's like walking into Fast and the Furious, but it's black and white, and then Vin Diesel gets shot 30
No,
minutes into it
that's
and doesn't
totally
come back.
different.
It's just
That's a
completely...
franchise. Psycho wasn't a franchise.
Well, Hitchcock was a franchise. He had made like 50 movies before Psycho, and when you walk into something like that, you expect like Rear Window. You expect something that's not gory and has
But
nudity and the main
suspenseful and
character
scary.
dies. So I have a little bit of sympathy with them walking in expecting one thing and getting another.
Knocks on Summer. Just
Without American Summer, yeah. I mean, comedy's subjective. Every honest trailer is the best one someone's seen and the worst one someone else has seen.
Yeah.
And it is like sometimes people aren't into absurdist humor.
Yeah.
I've shown it to people who have just been completely flat-faced throughout that whole movie, and I pity them, but it's true.
The thing about that, though, is because the new series come out with the same type of humor, and it's so well reviewed, I think the argument is there that the critics really got it wrong in the beginning, and the movie was ahead of its time.
But there's also that like retro nostalgia where it's like hipster now. Paul Rudd's so awesome. Wet Hot American Summer Netflix series so good. Like there are still people out there, I'm sure, that are reviewing it and saying like, it's fine. People who don't like that kind of humor.
all right, I'm calling it. Dan, anything you'd like to add before I make a point here?
Very quickly, Indiana Jones 4 is not only fresh, but certified fresh. The film critic for The Observer in the UK permanently resigned her post over Psycho. Wet Hot American Summer is at 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. Entourage is at 33%.
The boys are back!
The TV
Boys
show
are
is
back.
at 91%, though. So
TV show is better.
yeah.
All right. I'm going to give it to Spencer, only in that I think you guys did have a tough time arguing with him. And I think he did give a good reason to both of you. You also gave a good reason against Brett. You it points almost to you for knocking, I think, Wet Hot down. But you both sort of teamed up and did it. And then I think he got you more than you got him. And that's why Spencer gets the point.
All right.
Crystal
But very
Skull's pretty
close.
bad.
Round 5.
It was like a moral thing where you were forcing us to argue for Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
It was genius.
Pretty smart. All right, this one is interesting. Sony officially announced that they're releasing Bad Boys 3 in February of 2017, Bad Boys 4 in July 2019. I'm sure Nick Mundy is very ecstatic. So here's a random question. It's Bad Boys 3, right? What if they got to add a third bad boy? Who should be?
What if
Who
they gotta
should
add
be
another
the third bad boy if we were to
he
redo it?
bad
'Cause
enough?
it's been a while, right? Who would you inject in that franchise to keep it exciting, fun? And Tiffany, we're starting with you.
Okay, so I think when you're putting in a third character, it's got to be somebody that has played well with others in other films, has jumped into a franchise that has already been done and didn't derail it and didn't kind of steal the spotlight from the other characters, the other actors. So for me, the guy that I think could totally do an incredible job at this, and Nick Mundy would agree with me, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Wow.
You see him come into the Fast and Furious franchise. He did such a great job fitting into that world and not, taking away from the other actors that are in that and bringing even more to it. we've seen him do comedy. We've seen him do a little bit more serious stuff. And so I think that bringing him into this film with those other two actors would work really well. I think when you're talking about bringing a new person in as well, yeah, the go-to would be let's bring in another straight-up comedian because that's what works in this movie. But I think that you want to bring in somebody that brings a new flavor to it. And I think that Dwayne Johnson would bring something different to this movie. And I think that, like I said, again, it's mostly just the idea of bringing somebody in that can play well with others and still bring something new to the movie. And I think that he would do a great job of that.
Brett, who are you picking?
So I went a little sideways on this. I chose Hannibal Buress, the man that brought down Cosby, and here's why I chose him. Hannibal Buress is really funny. If you don't know him, stand-up comedian, you should check him out. He has a really slow, fun, laconic delivery, and I feel like you get the coolness with Will Smith, you get kind of the emotion with Martin Lawrence, and he'll bring a new thing. And here's the thing about a Michael Bay movie. They're insane, right? They're just explosions and noise and everything, and it's like, we can even that out with Hannibal Buress. He can be that voice of reason. He can be that guy to drop those one-liners, and it'll be perfect. He has also said in a speakeasy that he wants to do an action movie, get in shape for it, and I think that he would just be sort of the perfect rounding out counterpoint. And just the idea of Hannibal Buress shooting somebody in the face and saying something about it just makes me laugh already. And that's what Bad Boys is about. It's about the action and about the comedy.
Nice speakeasy shout out, Brett.
Yeah, there you
Paul
go.
F. Tompkins.
Yeah, Made Man Channel.
Spencer.
I'm picking someone else we haven't heard from in a while. I'm picking someone who's kind of a chameleon because you said Michael Bay. We don't know if he's going to direct this. We don't have any plot. We just know it's going to be Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. So I'm picking someone who can kind of be anything you want him to be, and that's Sacha Baron Cohen. He of Ali G, of Borat, of Bruno. I think that he can play big. He can play small. He's one of the best improvisers of all time. I think if you put him with those three, it makes a nice contrast. And frankly, we don't know what Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are bringing to the table in 2 years from now. Martin Lawrence was already showing his wear and tear in Bad Boys 2. In Bad Boys 3, let's get someone maybe younger who can pick up some of the comedic slack, or he can take a back seat to those two if they're still bringing it.
I will say, here's what I think about both your guys' arguments. I think your whole argument is based on the fact that The Rock brings something different, but he brings exactly the same thing. I've seen that movie Bad Boys with The Rock. It's called Furious 6, Furious 7. That exists.
And I liked those.
Yeah, you're just getting more of the same. Your argument is it's something different. He brings nothing different. And apologies to Nick Mundy, but he is just more Michael Bay and more in the term of Bad Boys, and that's not the movie I want to see. I don't want to see that overblown thing. I think it has to have a balance to it.
So you want less Bad Boys and less Michael Bay in the Bad Boys new movie. That makes no sense.
Bad Boys is peak Michael Bay.
Yeah, and I think and Dwayne Johnson has worked with Michael Bay before in the Pain and Gain movie.
Again,
and when I say he's bringing something different and new, it's not necessarily that I'm saying against those other two actors. Those other two actors don't do what Dwayne Johnson does.
He's essentially fulfilling the same role that Will Smith does.
No,
in those
he's
movies,
not at all.
For sure.
Not at all.
I take issue with the fact that you said that The Rock doesn't take away from other castmates and he doesn't steal the spotlight. He walked in to Fast and the Furious and stuck his claim down and said, "These are my movies now. We want to see The Rock in those things. We don't care about Dominic Toretto anymore. We care about The Rock flexing out of a cast." He's totally taken over that franchise.
No, he has not.
Well,
It is a
I
Vin
want him
Diesel
to.
franchise.
I want him to take over that franchise.
That doesn't mean that he is going in and stealing the spotlight, though.
He would steal the spotlight from an old Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. He would become the star of it. It would change the dynamic because The Rock, frankly, is probably on par with Will Smith right now as a movie star, and Martin Lawrence would become the third banana. There's no reason to have him there anymore. He's larger than life, and you can't really insert him easily without him taking the spotlight away from the other people.
But the thing is, when I think of bringing another actor like Sacha Baron Cohen, you mentioned all the movies that he's done. All of them he's the lead in them. So I don't know that he's done anything that I could say, okay, he can really play well with others. I mean, that's voiceover.
Here's the problem with Sacha Baron Cohen. It's not so much a bad choice as bad for America. And here's why. All we have to go on is how a Michael Bay movie works. And I have to kind of assume Michael Bay is going to be involved producing whatever, right? Sacha Baron Cohen's genius. He's a chameleon that uses stereotypical characters
Yes, he is a genius.
to satirize stuff. In the hands of Michael Bay,
We don't know it's gonna be Michael
Sacha
Bay.
Baron Cohen, even producing, Sacha Baron Cohen could turn into, we'll do one of his stereotypical, who knows, like Middle Eastern, Israeli thing, and Michael Bay has a terrible track record with those stereotypes. It would be something that would be painful to watch on screen.
But every
and
Bad
it would
Boy
not
movie,
further
every Bad Boy movie
America.
has those characters, and he would be the best version of those characters, which is the drug lord. He could be a snitch or someone
but we're
that
not
plays
saying
both
that
sides
he's
of
a
that.
character that is just an added person in it. We're saying he's the third bad boy.
Correct.
Yeah, he could be.
So he has to.
Okay, so he goes undercover or he joins the police force. Logic doesn't need to be included in the Bad Boys franchise.
It's just going to be the worst stereotype without context, and it's going to be offensive.
I
if you
just
put
like that
Sacha
your
Baron
argument.
You're already
was-
calling it
I just
offensive.
like that your argument was
100%.
logic.
It offends you. This
stand by
hypothetical
it.
casting of this hypothetical movie offends
and
you.
it makes me angry.
All right.
I just have to say your argument that logic should not be included
In
was
the Bad
part
Boys
of your
franchise.
argument.
In the Bad Boys franchise,
just
no.
derails everything
Well,
you
and
said.
for closing for you to help, why I got The Rock and I got the opposing The Rock, but why not quickly?
For Sacha Baron Cohen, I said I don't think he's a person that can really just meld into it. I don't think he's going to be somebody that is going to be able to play well with others. And with your guy, I don't actually know who he is really. Like, I looked on IMDb, tried to get some more info about him, and I'm like, if you're going to bring somebody else in, it's always to up the ante for that movie, at least for me. And that's like a massive movie. It's not like a, indie favorite, and you're like, bring in somebody new that no one's ever seen.
These
movies are massive.
Quick rebuttal to that, and then we'll end on you, Spencer.
I think the movie that I like and would want to see would be funny and different. And yeah, Harold Burris is an unknown, but I think he's at that level that he's ready to break out and do that thing. And it's fun to take that chance and to have that energy to the movie. That's what it's going to add.
Last
I
thought.
mean, I feel like I said my piece on The Rock. Putting Hannibal Buress and energy in the same sentence is the real crime. This is a guy who is hilarious. I love him, but you need a silent room and subtitles to know what he's talking about.
All right. Dan, anything you're adding before I make a ruling here?
Michael Bay not currently involved in any capacity in the Bad Boys 3 or 4.
Wow. Well, that would be sad.
Currently.
Who did his deal? Jeez.
All right.
producing it, at
Based
least.
on the arguments, I was with The Rock, but then they both sort of, I think, just they hit you harder, and he's going to overtake it. Where it's, I think, in the Bad Boys,
He's
you
been
don't.
in team movies. He did not overtake it in Fast and Furious at all.
I think it was tough, and I think they both clocked you out for Sacha Baron Cohen. And the reason that I'm leaning towards Brett is the final punch was just like, we don't want him to do Michael Bay. Like, that's the worst thing for him to do.
Did you listen to your fact checker?
Well, we're assuming as you all said, Bad Boys is the peak of the Bay.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to embrace that, or it's not a Bad Boys movie. For that last point alone and a knock, just on the argument, I give Brett the point.
Squeak that one out.
It was close.
Hey, Bad Boys. I don't think he's
I
a
was
bad
very
boy.
When you
Point
guys
off.
hear that Dwayne Johnson is cast, I expect a point.
And we'll, yeah,
I
maybe.
love it, yeah.
I just think it's not a Bad Boys movie, like they said. It's just like it's the Rock movie.
Yeah.
Round 6. New Line Cinema announced this week they're planning another reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street. This is what, the third or fourth or just what?
How many
would
since
be
the final chapter?
This would be the fourth,
if you
right?
don't count New Nightmare as a reboot, this would be the third reboot of the franchise.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they've done a lot. So regardless of whether we think that's a good idea or not, the question here that we're ending on, and we'll keep this quick because we're just doing a pitch here, or I mean a quick, just give me a quick pitch. But the question at hand is, what franchise or series of movies should go away forever? And that means no reboots, no sequels, no prequels. It's done. We're burying it, putting it in the grave, and the movies that they've made will live on only. What would we pick? Brett, we're leading with you.
So I picked the Terminator franchise, and here's why. They tried and they failed. The best Terminator movie was T2, which was back over 20 years ago, I think 1991. And after that, they did a direct sequel, didn't work. They did a reboot set in the future, didn't work. Then they brought back Arnold and did another reboot, didn't work. They messed up the timeline so hard in that reboot, you can't even make another movie. It's not going to work. And then the key thing is, if your best idea for a villain was something over 20 years ago and every other villain, which is the T-1000 liquid metal, is just rehashing that villain and you've had no new good ideas in 20 years, it's over. It's done. It's not going to happen. And that's why you shouldn't do Terminator.
Spencer.
All right, my pick is Die Hard. We've had 5 Die Hard movies, and I would love to quit while we still have more good Die Hard movies than bad ones. It's 3-2 right now. We can hold steady. So I think that this is a franchise that is completely creatively bankrupt and is so dependent on Bruce Willis being into it.
I'm just curious, your 3 are which?
The first 3.
The first 3. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. In no particular order. But then the best thing about this ending is that other people are doing Die Hard better than Die Hard. Under Siege was Die Hard on a boat. Cliffhanger was Die Hard on a cliff. And now with Olympus Has Fallen, we have the Die Hard movie that we want, which is just a guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's become a completely Die Hard itself is chained to Bruce Willis, while other people aren't, and they're making better Die Hard movies.
Tiffany, what's your pick?
Mine is Dumb and Dumber. The first film is a classic. We've gotten 2 other movies from this. Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd, which was a prequel, and then we got Dumb and Dumber 2. Here's the thing. Like I said, the first film is such a classic. This new movie came out, and you're like, yay, we got Jim and Jeff back. But as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, God, it's the same jokes. The jokes from the first one are the things that are making me laugh again. And then they decided to go off the rails and not really focus on them for the last part of the movie. And you're like, now it's not funny at all. And so I just feel like they keep adding more movies and it keeps chipping away at how classic the first film was because we're seeing those jokes over and over again. I don't need to see any more. I'm going to stick with the original because it's funny. So stop making it unfunny. No more sequels. And they're like a little too old now too.
I'm going to be honest. I agree with all 3 of you. So help me knock the other ones down.
Your guys' movies, I feel like your franchises could have good movies in them with the right people. They've tried tons of different people with the Terminator franchise and it hasn't worked. And here's what I can explain. Farrelly Brothers, got to take it away from them. Give it to Apatow. I'd love to see what that would be like. Your movie, it's tied to Bruce Willis, right? But it only depends on Bruce Willis caring about it, right? Bruce Willis can be good if he cares about something. And I would agree with you, except that Looper exists. And Bruce Willis was great in Looper, and he cared about Looper. Put Rian Johnson on the next Die Hard movie, make it small, bring it back to its roots, have Bruce Willis care. I would want to see that send-off for the character.
I do not envy the man that has to get Bruce Willis to care about Die Hard 6. That is going to be a tough conversation. But you have the perfect excuse to reboot or do whatever you want with the franchise in time travel. Yeah, the timeline's all mixed up, but as we know, everyone has a time machine now. Apparently, they're really easy to build. So you can go...
No matter what era you're in. Right?
Yeah, you can go back and you can start over. The only core things of the Terminator franchise are time travel and killer robots. I think there's still room to maybe make something cool in that universe. Dumb and Dumber... Yeah, it was kind of lame. I don't really think of that as a franchise because the prequel didn't count for me. But
still 2 movies. Make a franchise.
You know, if Jim Carrey and Jeff want to make a movie when they're like 70 or 60 and do like a grumpier old men and
I'd love that movie.
And get in the Mutt Cut van one more time, I would be down.
But it wasn't funny. Like the one that they did wasn't that funny. It was the exact same jokes. Now for Terminator Genesis came out and I was like, I loved what they did with Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, where it's like he's older, he's grizzled now, we're learning more about how the Terminators actually work. The fact that James Cameron gets the rights back in a couple of years, I freaking want to see him take over and do another Terminator movie and do it right, because the franchise started off so well that when you're like the original person who made it, if they can do a final one, even if it's a last one, and really bring things back together, on board for that. I want to see it. And then you put time-traveling Doctor Who, Matt Smith in it for a second. You're like, we're going to get more of that. There could be some really cool stuff that they could do with time travel there.
Thoughts, you 2, on that?
I think that your argument about Terminator getting rebooted because of time travel, they did it. It's called Terminator Salvation, and it doesn't work, right? And then I think by that point, if that doesn't work, you're tied to Arnold. And even with James Cameron, Arnold's so old now, and he doesn't look like that badass killer robot that he was.
He literally is one of the standouts of Genesis,
It was the best part of a horrible experience in my life, which was Terminator Genesis.
Well, and then for yours, I would say, as you said, I want more John McClane. I will always go and see more of him. And I do think it's but here's the thing. If you look at someone like Harrison Ford, who hasn't wanted to come back to be Han Solo, and the right director came on board, the right script came on, and he said, I loved the story, I'm on board for this. He's showing up to like Comic-Con and talking about it. Do I think the same thing could happen with Bruce Willis? Could he be brought back in for an awesome movie? Yes.
We can still preserve the franchise.
I've heard enough. I've heard enough. Dan, anything you want to add?
Spencer, I think if we're going soccer scoring on Die Hard sequels, it might be 2-2-1.
Yeah. Part 2 is on. I think everyone knows it's 1 and 3.
It's not a losing record.
1 and 3.
It's still not a losing record.
2 and 4. Like
years are
2
lost
and
causes.
Then 4. Yeah. Anyway, anything else?
That's it.
Tough. To lay out my points, I think they both got you because both their pitches, I kind of want to see it. Grumpy old dumb and Apatow doing Dumb and Dumber later.
That's the next poster.
I think we all want to see it, sadly. So that's hard. So that's where I'm at. Sorry. And then between you 2, I think he schooled you a little bit on his pitches were better. The Apatow, and then I kind of want to see the last McClane if he cares. Like
Imagine
that's
if
the
he's-
That's a
point.
huge if.
If he cares,
Yeah.
which you said.
But he could with.
And the time travel, it's so confusing at this point. Can you really just reset it and call it a Terminator? I think Brett gets the point. That's what happens.
There you go.
And it was really based on his final little pitches at the end that sold me. That's where we're
Whatever.
at.
We all know because
Fine.
when the show started, you're like, we've known each other for so
Oh
long.
no!
No.
Tiffany,
I'm kidding.
Tiffany was
kidding.
fantastic. I was going to say that before you even called me out.
If
You were
anything, he's mad at me
fantastic.
for leaving for so long.
You were fantastic. I know. I hate Brett. I'm being alert. No. Tiffany, you were fantastic.
Thank
This
you.
was tough, though. You did go up against two tough ones as well. But thank you. I thought you brought it. I want you back. Please come back. We love you. You're the best. I want you to stick and help me, along with Dan, to decide which one of these two takes it.
For sure.
We're going to go into the speed round. You guys tested this earlier. We know this works to hopefully keep us fast. So before we go to the speed round, I'd like to thank one more time our sponsors at Loot Crate. Sign up at lootcrate.com/moviefights and use code MOVIEFIGHTS for 10% off a new subscription. Plus, if you sign up by August 19th, you'll get the Villains Crate, which has awesome stuff from Marvel, DC, and a unique wearable that's never before in a crate before. I want to know what that is.
It's unique.
I'm excited, but Dan has something from last month. We love Loot Crate. We legitimately love Loot Crate. They always send something cool that we add in our office. So thank you. Please subscribe. Check them out. And lootcrate.com/moviefights, code MovieFights.
Christmas every month.
All right, cue the music. Speed round is in effect, as you guys should already
Yikes.
know. If you both say the same answer at the same time, I pick the answer we hear first, and if I have trouble, I will activate Tiffany and Dan to help make sure it's a unified ruling. So we have
Activation ready.
a real bona fide winner. All right, these two movies are playing on cable. These two movies. Which should I watch? Jackass the movie or Superman the movie?
Jackass the movie.
I heard Jackass from Spencer and Superman the movie from Brett. Go ahead, Spencer. 15 seconds on the clock and go.
Jackass the movie is so fun and it's so rewatchable. It's still funny every time to see these guys put their lives on the line to make you laugh. Superman the movie is a nice trip down memory lane.
You have an iconic character that you just want to spend time with that hasn't been done as good as he's been done originally. And it just activates nostalgia, it activates fun, and it shows you everything that we're missing now, and that's why you'd watch Superman the movie.
Last 5
It
seconds.
is nostalgia, but it's like a museum piece. You look at it, you walk by, and you say, "Oh, that's nice," and you move on to something more current.
Really close, but I think I was leaning, and then he did. It's a little bit of a museum look back, nostalgia peek.
The second time Jackass has beat Superman.
I'm gonna go with Jackass the movie.
I will never stop watching people get hit in the balls. It's amazing. You just beat me to the punch.
Anytime anyone thinks
We
we're
did bring that
serious
call
critics,
back
yeah.
of our famous episode.
I still get crap over that. Glad you're gonna get crap.
Bring it.
over
One
that.
again. There we go. Keeping score over there. Good.
Everyone chose Jackass. We know nothing.
Number 2. Hollywood's best Jack.
Nicholson.
I don't even know another Jack now. I
5 seconds on the
Oh,
clock.
God, I
want to say
Good one for you.
Ryan.
Oh, God.
Ryan, the character. I don't even
Jack
know.
Ryan, okay, from Hunt for October, okay, and Patriot Games, all those movies. All right, he
Yeah.
has a moment to think. Spencer, go ahead. Why Jack Nicholson is better than Jack Ryan?
Jack Nicholson is an actor and a human being. He's been in movies as great as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's an Oscar winner, and he's arguably one of the best Jokers of all time. He's a living legend, and he's still making good movies.
All right, 15 seconds for Brett.
Listen, Jack Ryan's a character who spanned decades. He was in Hunt for October, amazing movie. Patriot Games, amazing movie. Whatever the Chris Pine thing was. He was in all those movies,
And you
so
just laughed.
that's why he's so much better than Jack Nicholson.
5-second rebuttal.
Boy.
Jack Ryan is that character from the books you buy at the airport. Those big things that you read on a
All
plane.
right, I think we all know Spencer got that point as well.
Oh, man,
I
want
had to
someone
throw that
say
one. I
Jack
couldn't-
Jack.
Jack.
Jack Jack.
From
from
Incredibles. All right, we have 4-3. 4-3. Spencer's now taking the lead. You were up by 1, Brett. You gotta get these. Number 3. Now you're learning how the speed round really can crush it all. Best movie with black in the title.
Black Hawk Down.
I don't even know. Speed round's killing me, man.
Last 5 seconds.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Back in Black? The Amy Winehouse documentary? It's literally the only movie I can think
Okay,
of.
she got one in. Quickly, start the clock, go.
Black Hawk Down is one of the most visceral war movies of all time. The way it's shot is incredible. You feel like you're there on the ground, and it's a moment in American history that I had no idea about until I saw the movie. It's amazing.
I think the Amy Winehouse documentary shows the tragic fall of a great, iconic artist whose songs were in her head the whole time, and because it's the real person in it, you feel this personal connection that is just really affecting when you see this descent.
5-second rebuttal, go.
I haven't seen it. I hear it's good. I love Amy Winehouse, but I can't imagine that it does anything new for filmmaking the way Black Hawk Down did.
Hang on, my computer's frozen. I'm trying to look up Back in Black.
I think that it's
don't
Is it not
think
called
it's
that?
Called
I
Back
think
in
it's called
Black.
Amy.
I think it's called
I
Amy.
think that's the
I
album.
lost
Stupid
already.
computer is locked, and I can't look it up.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure too. I was
I think
thinking
Yeah.
of it,
back
but
unless
Nightfall.
there was
What's
one
another black?
Nightfall's 2, Back in Black.
What's another black movie that you could say?
rephrase that. Rephrase
Sadly,
that.
right.
sadly,
What's another movie with the word
I think
black
it is
in
called
it?
Amy. Do we have
That's a
a
better way
It
to
is
phrase
called
it.
Amy. There's no
Yeah.
movie called Back in
I'm
Black,
looking
right?
for Back in. I
Is
don't.
there even a movie? Can I argue something?
The DC documentary?
If there's some
I think
some
that-
random movie called Back in Black, I would love to take a mulligan and argue some movie I've never seen.
There's a Greek movie called Back in Black.
Yeah.
But there's no Amy
Back-
Winehouse.
Sadly, the time has been used,
Yeah.
and I think,
Dun, dun,
based on the fact checking, sadly, Spencer gets that point.
dun. Yeah.
You were close if you had called the right movie title.
Yeah, I have no
But he
idea.
Might not
didn't,
have black
'cause
in it.
black
Do you
wasn't
guys
in the
know other
title.
movies with black in the title?
Well, we'll discuss it
Black-
after
okay.
fact. All right, so it's 5-3. That means Brett, you need the next two to tie. Otherwise, it's over.
It's over for
Men
me.
in Black.
Last, I hope maybe last potential question.
Men
Men
in
in Black.
Black.
There you go. Or Men in Black 2 or Men in Black 3. Number 4. Best movie starring Bruce Willis, released after 2005.
Looper.
Dang.
The Die Hard with Justin Long.
Is your computer unlocked?
It's
that the
becoming
title?
unlocked. Hang on. It's called Live Free or Die Hard.
Live Free or Die Hard.
Okay, both of those are after 2000, right?
Yes.
2005.
Yes. Live Free or Die Hard was 2007.
Okay, Looper, 15 seconds, go.
As discussed before, it's the latest movie where Bruce Willis actually cared and proved that he was good, and it's an original spin on a time travel movie, which is a rarer and rarer thing these days. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was amazing, great script, great acting.
The time travel in Looper doesn't make sense if you look at it. It's so frustrating. It doesn't make sense. At least my movie makes sense, and it's fun. It was fun. It's not the worst Die Hard movie, and it's fun to watch. And there's a lot of good places, like when the car goes into the plane. That's just fun.
Like when the car goes into the plane.
It goes into those helicopters.
No time travel movie makes sense except maybe Primer. There's a million. Every single one has a paradox in it. That was a
Okay.
bad Die Hard movie.
I'm gonna, just for the sake of winning, I'm going to put this. My vote is to Spencer. Tiffany, who would you have picked based on the arguments?
Based on the arguments,
Brett.
yeah. I'm
okay,
going Brett.
Dan.
Though I,
You can
I picked
outnumber
Looper.
me,
I
or are
like
you
Looper
going with
better.
Spencer? For all
Based
the
on
marbles.
just the arguments.
And
Just
we're on
the
a time
arguments, be
crunch.
fair.
Yeah,
Based on the arguments.
Based on the arguments. Oh God, it was close.
It was really close. I made a judgment call based on the fact.
Spencer.
It was fun. Was really all you had, and it was really close. But I think you did nail why.
That's fair.
And bringing up what we talked about, which you even said.
Die Hards are supposed to be fun. That's all they like ever.
Spencer
pitch
gets
us.
the game. Yeah. Wow. But for a first-time fighter, Brett really brought it. So you are also welcome back anytime. That was very fun.
Got a rematch.
We're
New
out of
school,
time.
so-
Tell us what you thought in the comments below. We always appreciate that. Tell us what fights you want to see. And always, as always, please subscribe on iTunes. I want to thank each panelist. Spencer Gilbert at Spencer J. Gilbert on Twitter.
Thanks, homie. Coming for you, Dan. Maybe not next time, but after that.
You
I
did
hope you
beat
defend
him.
it. Keep it in the Screen Junkies family, then I'm coming for you.
You beat him at the Comic-Con fight, technically.
Chris
so-
Stuckman beat me at the Comic Con.
and I
he
beat Chris
took
Stuckman.
the whole thing. Tiffany Smith at Tiffany's Tweets. Anything you want to plug, Tiffany?
So you guys can see me on DC All Access, on Schmoes No, and then Fandango Movie Clips. We just launched a new show called Movie Threesome, so definitely check that out. It's really fun. You guys all just perked up because I said Movie Threesome.
It is very fun. Go
I
check it
know.
out. I love it. And then Brett Weiner at Brett BAW on Twitter. Yes.
Yeah, Brett Baugh.
Let's give Brett a little Twitter bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Movie
having me
Fights
on,
Club.
guys. It was super
Thanks for
fun to
having-
be
yeah,
in front
for
of the camera
coming.
for the first time on Screen Junkies.
I love how much you committed to the speed round when you had no idea what the answer was. Every
Listen,
time you got your game, you were
I'm
like,
here to fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
He chose everything that I would say. I'm gonna fight until the last.
Dan Murrell,
movie
the
doesn't
Dan
exist.
Cam, at Murrell Dan on Twitter. Dan, next week, live, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You're going to put that belt in the line.
Yep.
Wow. And don't forget, follow me at Andy Signore on Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget Chicago in 2 weeks at Wizard World. We just tweeted about it. Links in the description below if you're watching YouTube. So we want to see you at Chicago. And please tune in next Sunday. Save the calendar. Mark it. Save it. Save your calendars. Mark your calendars. 10 a.m. Pacific. We're going to go live. We're doing it live straight from the studio. And we want you to comment along.
Nice.
So thanks, everybody. Have an awesome weekend and see you next weekend.
Every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this kick-ass graphic listing all the topics your favorite Screen Junkies podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast battle royale. Go ahead, try them all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Junkies on YouTube to join us for future fights. Or if you prefer to listen on iTunes, click the logo to download an audio version.